Ever imagine yourself on the open ocean, not just, sipping a cocktail on a cruise ship, but like actually keeping the entire thing running?
Right, like the behind-the-scenes hero.
Exactly. That's what we're diving into today, the life of a ship assistant engineer.
Using RoleCatcher's career guide as our, I guess you'd say our compass for this deep dive.
Perfect analogy. So, no more romanticized ideas of life at sea. Let's get real. What does a ship assistant engineer actually do? Day to day, I mean.
Okay, so picture this.
Yeah.
You're kind of like the ship's, what's the word, guardian angel. But instead of a halo, you've got a wrench in hand.
I like it.
You're responsible for the heartbeat of the ship engine, steering, power generation, all the stuff most people take for granted.
Until the lights go out, right?
Exactly. You're working closely with the maritime engineers, making sure those systems purr like I guess a well-oiled engine is a bad analogy on a ship, but you get the idea.
Definitely. And it's not just about fixing things when they break, it's about preventing those breakdowns in the first place, right?
Absolutely. Safety is paramount on the open ocean. We're talking strict regulations, constant monitoring, detailed reports.
And RoleCatcher doesn't sugarcoat the work environment either. Long hours, demanding conditions, battling the elements. It's not for the faint of heart.
Nope, definitely not your average 9 to 5.
But then again, you're seeing the world, experiencing things most people only dream of.
Exactly. Sunrises, sunsets, different cultures. It's a trade-off, for sure.
And speaking of trade-offs, RoleCatcher gets into the specific skills and qualifications you need to actually thrive in this environment, which, let's be honest, sounds like it takes more than just a strong stomach.
Oh, for sure. And we'll dive into those skills right after this quick break.
Okay, so we're talking about serious responsibility, real-world challenges. You're out there on the open ocean. Luckily, RoleCatcher breaks down what it takes to actually make it as a ship assistant engineer.
Yeah, it's not as simple as just knowing how to, fix an engine.
Right, there's got to be more to it than that.
It's about having a solid foundation in the field, a real understanding of marine engineering or something similar.
So actual textbook stuff, like going to school for this, what are some of the things someone would be learning?
Think about all the things that make a ship work. The engines, obviously, but also the electrical systems, the whole shebang. And then there's naval architecture.
Naval architecture, now that's a new one. Sounds pretty intense.
It is. It's basically how the ship is designed to handle the ocean, the waves, all that. And that's where the technical skills come in. RoleCatcher actually found that 69% of ship assistant engineers said strong math skills are essential.
Makes sense, right? I mean, you're dealing with fuel ratios and calculations and all sorts of technical stuff.
Exactly. But it's not just about being a math whiz. RoleCatcher found that reading comprehension was important for 68% of the profiles they looked at.
Wait, really? Reading?
Think about it. You're constantly using technical manuals, trying to understand complicated diagrams and schematics, keeping up with all those safety regulations. There's a lot of information to process.
So you're not just a mechanic, you're like a maritime scholar or something.
Pretty much. And, of course, let's not forget those all-important soft skills, like, remember how we talked about rough seas and unexpected problems?
It's the ocean. Things happen.
Well, RoleCatcher found that being able to learn on the fly, think critically, that's essential for about 63% of these roles. You got to be adaptable, a real problem solver.
Okay, so let's say you've got the skills. You aced your engineering classes. You're a master at solving problems under pressure. What's next? What does the actual career path look like?
That's where things get really interesting. And thankfully, RoleCatcher gives us a pretty good roadmap for how you go from, starting out to becoming a seasoned pro in the maritime world.
So we know what it takes to be a ship assistant engineer, but what's the actual career path look like? Is it like you spend a few years under the deck and then bam, you're captain?
Not quite, although I'm sure some people have those Hollywood fantasies.
Right. Who doesn't want to be captain?
But yeah, RoleCatcher paints a picture of a more structured progression, like climbing the ranks, taking on more responsibility, that sort of thing.
Okay, so no shortcuts to the captain's chair. What's the typical path then for a ship assistant engineer?
Well, according to RoleCatcher, you usually start as an entry-level ship assistant engineer. You're assisting with different tasks, learning the ropes from the more experienced crew.
So it's like an apprenticeship almost.
Exactly. You're proving yourself, soaking up knowledge. Then, as you gain experience, you move up to junior ship assistant engineer.
Okay, and then what? What comes after junior?
You got it, ship assistant engineer, and then finally, the top rung, senior ship assistant engineer.
So it's a real career ladder then. What kind of things change as you climb those rungs? What are you actually doing differently?
Well, the higher you go, the more complex the challenges. You might start by just assisting with maintenance, But eventually you're overseeing entire systems, doing critical inspections, even mentoring those newer engineers.
So there's a leadership aspect to it as well.
Absolutely. And one thing RoleCatcher stresses is that you never really stop learning in this field.
Which makes sense. It's a constantly evolving industry.
Right, and with all the new technology, new regulations, you've got to stay ahead of the curve. They actually highlight specific areas like automation, hydraulic systems, even things like green technologies, which is becoming a bigger and bigger deal in the maritime world.
Green technology. Out on the open ocean, I never would have put those two together.
It's a thing. Think about making ships more fuel efficient, reducing emissions, maybe even using alternative power sources. It's an exciting time to be involved in that side of things.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you've got this combination of hands-on work, problem solving, and then you sprinkle in cutting-edge technology.
Exactly. And of course, before you can even get started with all that, you've got to land that job interview.
Right, which can be its own challenge.
For sure. But don't worry, RoleCatcher's got us covered there too with some insider tips on how to ace those interviews.
Well, let's hear those tips. What are they looking for? What kind of questions should someone be prepared for?
Think like really specific stuff. They'll probably grill you on diesel cycles, safety protocols, how you'd troubleshoot a system failure in the middle of the Pacific.
So it's not just about tell me about your strengths and weaknesses. They want to know you can actually handle the job.
Exactly. Be ready to think on your feet. Show them you can handle those real-world situations. And RoleCatcher emphasizes how important it is to show genuine passion for the field. Let your enthusiasm shine through. Show them you're not just looking for any job. You want this job. You want to be out there on the open ocean.
So it's about finding the right fit. Because it's not just one type of ship out there, right? There are cargo ships, research vessels, cruise ships.
Right. Each with their own unique demands, their own challenges.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. We dove deep into the world of a ship assistant engineer thanks to RoleCatcher's insights. It's definitely not your average career path.
No, not at all. But for the right person, it sounds like an incredible adventure with lots of opportunities for growth, learning, and experiencing the world.
Absolutely. So to our listeners out there, if any of this resonated with you, if you've ever felt that call of the open ocean, maybe this is the career path for you. Do your research, look into those certifications, and most importantly, don't be afraid to chart your own course.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, keep exploring and keep diving deep.